Okay, art sound off time. Originally, I was kind of not sure what I wanted to talk about. So what I did when I went over to needart.com/artsoundoff, which is the home base for the Art Soundoff challenge I'm taking part in, and looked at their prompts. They have prompts, one for every day of the challenge. That way, you don't necessarily have to use particular prompts a particular day or use them at all, which I haven't been. But it's there for people who are not sure what they want to talk about. Here's some possibilities. And I looked at the one for day 8. What have you seen or heard recently that caught your excited full attention? And I thought about that, and the only thing that's really got me excited lately, like really super excited, was the Supergirl TV show. I think it's I think it's really good. It was fun. I need to see the last 2 episodes. I saw the pilot. I reviewed the pilot, and I enjoyed it. And then I went. Then I have now to watch the past 2 episodes, and really want to see the one that came out this week because it's supposed to have Reactron in it, which is supposed to be a Superman foe, but he has a big part in Supergirl's life story as well. So I really want to see that episode and the one in between. Um, but that got me thinking too about my own topic. There's kind of this thing nowadays where I keep seeing solicits for very superhero comics, but things about deconstructing the superheroes, hero universe, like saying, saying this is what it'd be like in the real world, unlike with the comics, like you usually see in the comics. The thing is, you're not usually seeing that in the comics. Every superhero story that's out right now, there's mild consequences like we're used to. They're deep, heavy consequences. And I'm not saying there shouldn't be any consequences at all. I mean, my God, you had a Man of Steel. The city gets trashed, and what happens in the next scene? Everything's like built back up. There's like no damage at all. Like even in comics, things don't get rebuilt that fast. um, I don't think there should be any consequences at all. It's one of the problems that I had with Man of Steel, even if I divorce it from Superman. But everything wants to be, especially everything wants to be Watchmen. That's what it is right now. Everything wants to be Watchmen. Um, and it kind of brings to mind an interview that I did with Billy Tucci, who created the She comic, and when I interviewed him, he was promoting his new take on the Nativity called "A Child Is Born," which I reviewed. It was really good. Not a fan of the painted art style, but that's possibly a sound off for another day. But it was a good, but I liked the writing and it was well done. Um, and he was also pushing a Sergeant Rock story, which was interesting when I interviewed him. I found out that there were actually Japanese Americans that served in World War II. They just fought the Nazis, and obviously not the Japanese. And I guess it's a way to get out of the concentration camps. Let's call them what they were concentration camps. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Whatever I may defend during World War II, that I'm not going to defend. I'm not. I understand it, but that doesn't mean I can defend it. That's not the same thing. Um, but um, everything is about deconstructing the superheroes. Like, well, this is what it would be like if things were real. What things were real? Superman couldn't fly. He couldn't shoot his heat vision straight. Thor couldn't use a hammer and shoot lightning bolts without blowing out his ears. There's the very nature of a superhero comic, even in something like Batman, which is unless you go the Christopher Nolan route, it's not going to be based in reality. Comic book universes, unless you're doing a slice of life story or some nonfiction bio comic or something, it the very nature of superhero stories is that it's not real. It's an alternate reality, one where people dressing up in costumes and fighting supervillains with powers and super science and magic and everything else is kind of the norm. Around here, we have the real life superhero community, people who dress up in costumes just doing community service acts, and they're still looked on as nuts by some people. So, um, and also deconstruction usually means cynical. That's one of the problems that I have with Watchmen. Is it's a very cynical take, and I'm not putting it down. It's kind of an interesting alternate look, but at the time it was an alternate look. Nowadays, it's the norm. So maybe it's time for somebody to do a superhero reconstruction because nobody's telling the superhero stories like they used to. So now doing it that way would be kind of fresh because now nobody's doing it. Every superhero story I see out there that isn't a web comic like Energized, I think that's the right one. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a while. That was some comic was part of the crossover Lord event, and the crossover kill event. No, I think she was just some crossover though. But I'm pretty sure it's energized. And it's kind of a Firestorm type thing where girl gets merged with some alien thing, and he gives her superpowers, and she has to fight off his old comrades who are still evil or something like that. I don't remember. It's been a while, but it's a really fun comic when I've gotten to read of it. I've read maybe the first two virtual issues, and I like it. Or something like Star Power, which is just a fun superhero story. But there's good stories, there's good characters, bad things happen. It's not sugar coated, other than the fact that it's within the limits of an all ages comic. And it's just I need to drink water, sorry. But it is a story that isn't bogged down. And, well, this is how superheroes will really be seen, and how the governments will respond, and how the people will respond. But forget all that. It's supposed to be fantasy. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be, you know, you, characters that kind of your allowance for how you would want to. You wish you had these powers. You wish you had these costumes. You wish you could have exciting adventure. That's what I think fiction used to be. And I'm not saying that fiction should and absolutely needs to be because that would be a hypocrite. I recently wrote an article about how should is actually restricting because saying you should be this. No, what if I want to do that? I should be allowed to do that, and they should be allowed to do that. But at the same time, you can't say that you're deconstructing something that nobody uses anymore. You're deconstructing the Silver Age or the Bronze Age or pre-crisis DC or something, maybe. But you're not deconstructing tropes that nobody uses anymore. In fact, people go out of their way to not use anymore, to lampoon or to lampshade or to simply say, no, this is what actually would happen. And, I got nothing against that. But at the same time, the superhero stories that I want to tell are fun. They're adventurous. They're exciting. They're battles of good versus evil. It's an escape from reality. I know things aren't like that in real life. I live in real life. I don't want to read about real life unless I'm reading somebody else's life story. I don't need to see something that's dark and depressing because I don't think the world is simply dark and depressing. Like I said, that's the cynical approach. And yeah, there's bad stuff in the world. Believe me, I watch the news. I pay attention to what's going on in the world. But there are also good things that happen that you don't see on the news because Sean Robinson was not shot but stuck today or robbed by anybody. It's not an interesting news story. Unless John Robertson just had a habit of always getting shot at or robbed or something. Then the fact that he didn't get robbed or shot today is news. But most of us I've never been robbed. I've never been shot at. I hope to never be robbed or shot at. I know people who've been robbed. I know people who've been beat up. And it's never happened to me, praise God. And I am not gonna, but you know, that's the real life. I don't read fiction for real life. I live real life to experience real life. I read fiction to experience an alternate life, a world where things are more interesting, more entertaining, more fun, more exciting, more adventurous, where the good guys are the good guys, the bad guys are the bad guys, and the good guys may not always win because that's boring, but they will win the final battles. You may escape stealing the parts to your death ray, but you won't actually get a chance to use your death ray because the superhero will stop you and destroy your death ray. That works for me. You know, the superheroes, if the villain succeeds in blowing up the city, no. When the superhero, but if he can steal the parts to make the city, or embarrass the hero, or make him or her doubt themselves for a while, fine. That's drama. That's a good, interesting story. But you know, the things where DC right now is kind of using Marvel's approach, where everybody's kind of scared of the superheroes and they don't want anything to do with them, and they don't trust them and all that stuff. And I don't want to see that. I want to see stuff where heroes are heroes, cheered on as heroes. I used to love the fact that the DC universe had heroes that were loved and admired. Go read my review of JLA Avengers, the story by Kurt Busiek, who puts down what's the differences are between the DC and Marvel universes, and you'll see these are the things about the DC universe, and I prefer those things. That's the kind of superhero stories I want to see, and that's the kind of superhero stories I'm going to write. So I am not going to take as more experience as Billy Tucci is than I am in comics. I can't take his advice to not do superhero stories because I don't care if DC or Marvel have a lock on the superhero genre. They're not telling the superhero stories I want to see. And when it comes to my story writing, I want to focus on the stories that I want to see. If nobody's going to make them, I'm going to make them myself. If somebody else is making them, I have a website to promote their work and say, hey, this is the kind of stuff I want to see. Check this stuff out. Maybe you'd like to see it too. And if they're not making it, I'm going to make it myself. And I may do it myself anyway because that's kind of how I operate. But I am way over time now. But I think that's pretty much says my thoughts on that. I am here to reconstruct the superhero to that place that was fun and exciting, not to get rid of the current concept of superheroes, although they've taken my superheroes away from me. But I believe in reconstructing the superhero for those of us who still like superheroes the old-fashioned way, as actual heroes.